All right, good morning, everyone. Today is January 26th. It is 8:30, and we will start the complaint committee review. Before we do, I'd ask Dr. Ghani to do a roll call, please.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Leba. Mr. Leba.
Here.
Mr. Dang.
I'm here.
Mr. Minkus.
Here.
And Ms. Nair.
Here.
All accounted for, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will do conflicts of interest. Ms. Snare,
None.
Mr. Minkus,
None.
Mr. Dang,
None.
and I have one. It'll be 20-0431. With that, we will kick off to 4A 20-0454. Licensee failed to report charges within 10 working days.
I recommend a $250 fine to failure to notify.
Agree.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Do you want to do proceed to hearing if not paid or not signed?
Yes.
And I amend my second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. 4B 20-0469, licensee failed to report a charge within 10 working days.
Same thing.
Ms. Nair, Mr. Dang, same motion
Yes, I
as
make a
last
motion.
time?
Customary $250.
Well,
fine.
I have a comment on this. It looks like this person's a little confused. They sent in some information and thought we were asking if they were working for the board. Instead of like, where are you working? They responded they don't work for the board of pharmacy. I was almost thinking maybe a conference instead of a hearing. Or, I don't know, they did provide some information.
Let's see, on November 6th, staff sent a subpoena response. So they really didn't, they responded but didn't answer what was needed in the subpoena.
Yeah, they provided some information, just not the complete.
I think if we were to move to hearing, they would have the chance to move forward, but I understand your point too. Legal counsel, any comments or direction?
I thought what was submitted was illegible. We could try to seek information by following up with communication, or go ahead and do the civil penalty for failing to report in a timely manner and not include the subpoena violation because some information was provided.
Board staff, any background on this one?
Taking a look, Mr. President. Hang on.
Okay.
They did provide something from the city court. It looks like it's a copy, maybe like a carbon copy paper almost, because it looks like you can barely read it.
Yeah, I see.
There's a pre-trial conference in late December. I don't know what the result of that was. But regardless, you still have a failure to report.
I'm kind of looking at consent for $250 fine if not paid, move to hearing, because it'll establish both.
Okay.
Yeah, brother, we don't have anything else to add as far as board staff. It's all.
Yeah. committee, what do you think about that?
I agree with your suggestion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to offer consent for $250 civil penalty if not paid. Karen?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. 20-0423. This is Clark's Pharmacy. And patient
I just-
alleged pharmacy
Sorry.
incorrectly compounded her thyroid medication, resulting in her being hospitalized for hyperthyroidism and cardia.
Conference, perhaps.
Yeah,
For this
that's what I
case.
have.
Uh, Okay. Do I have a motion?
A motion for a conference for this particular complaint.
Okay.
Second.
And motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. 20-0426. Patient filed a complaint that troches compounded by the pharmacy were hard and brittle, requiring a knife to remove from the box and breaking apart upon removal.
I have conference for that as well,
Same,
because I have a lot of questions.
right.
I am still not sure an error took place, though. Ms. Richardson, could you comment on that?
You're on mute.
I'm not really sure if an error took place or not either, because there isn't any documentation in terms of the formula that they used or the process that was used to make it. When I went in, I asked to see a copy of the formula, and there was no formulation record available, which is the record that would document how the compound is actually made, the ingredients, the equipment used, all the temperatures that would have been used and whatnot. So none of that was available. He went online, the pharmacist did instead, and just printed a formula from Letco Med for a similar compound that would have actually had to have been adjusted for the strength that was made. So it was just a generic formula. It wasn't the actual record of what they made there at the pharmacy, which was part of the problem with the investigation.
And wasn't there an issue with training, Sharon, and whether the tech had really
Yeah.
been trained?
Yep, she was a new technician. There was no training documentation available for her at all. And when I walked, and they told me that she only compounds under his direct supervision. However, when I walked into the pharmacy, he was out in the lobby speaking with the receptionist, and she was actually in the compounding room working. So,
Thank you. So I have a motion for a conference in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 20-0431. I am recused.
I can take that. Do you want me just to read that first paragraph? Complaint was received alleging the patient received duloxetine 30 in place of prescribed alfuzosin, if I say that correctly, 10 milligrams. The pharmacy was visited by a compliance officer to drop off the complaint and commenced the investigation. The fill records on the patient's prescription indicated that the technician performed the filling and the pharmacist conducted product review. I was suggesting that it was 3 hours CE for the pharmacist for in-error prevention to be done within 90 days above what's required.
Second.
Doesn't have any other thoughts or
Is that non-disciplinary, Crystal?
yes,
And what time period?
in 90 days?
90 days? Sorry.
If we only have 3, do we have to make it go before the full board or is that okay?
I'm sorry, if you only have 3,
Can we make a recommendation or does it have to be moved to the full board?
No, you got a quorum.
Okay. Okay.
I think
All
we're
right.
okay.
oh, I'm sorry.
Does anybody have any other comments or anything they would like to add? If not, I can make that my motion.
The only thing that I would add is that the pharmacist did find the mistake and did correct the mistake. I'm not opposed to more CE. I don't see a problem with giving somebody more CE, but I think he actually did what he should have done. And I think he did the right thing by calling and saying, hey, we made a mistake, come back and get it fixed, and took care of the problem. So I'm not opposed to CD. I'm just saying in this particular case, I think he did what he was supposed to do after noticing there was a mistake.
That is true. I agree, Ruben. In reading the narrative, I noticed that when the pharmacist went on and scanned the barcode, the register did not recognize that barcode. She should have gone back and did more research as why the barcode did not scan.
I agree.
I mean, that was the part, had she done that, then this thing would not have happened. So what she did at the end was correct, that she contacted the patient, but I would have done that too, because I would not want someone to take wrong medication. But I think 3 hours of CE is a good approach that would help remind Lisa and other pharmacists that if anytime when they scan the barcode, and if the computer system sends back an error message, we should stop and go back and find out the cause of it.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. So I will make it my motion that I first stated, the 3 hour CE
I'll second that.
and all the stipulations that I first said, unless you want me to repeat it. Okay. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay. Back to 4F 20-0465. Pharmacy filled a prescription with the wrong medication.
There's a lot of people who touched this one.
Mhm. So 3 hours of CE for each individual who were involved with the filling and dispensing of this med.
So the one comment that I had was I was on the same thought process, 3 CEs for the verifying pharmacist, honoring what was completed if she submits that, because she did say she completed 4.25 hours of CE, 3 for the consultation pharmacist, 3 for the typing tech, and 3 for the tech giving the incorrect information on the phone. It's kind of, so Kevin, we're very similar. The only difference for me is that I think proactively that should be acknowledged that the pharmacist learned and educated herself and did 4.25 hours. I think we should accept that.
Yes, agree.
Okay, so I will make that my motion. All of the others, 3 CE, non-disciplinary, due within 90 days.
And excuse me, was that for the verifying pharmacist?
Yeah, 3 CEs for the verifying pharmacist, honor what was completed.
Yes, okay.
If she submits it. If she doesn't, then
And that's an error prevention, correct?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Have 20-0444. Patient alleged that the pharmacy sent an incorrect dosage of her medication by packaging an additional 1.5 milligrams per day in her med pack.
This was kind of troubling. They couldn't find a DUR in the system.
Yeah, and I don't know their system, but I would find that interesting if it didn't alert them.
Mhm.
Ms. Richardson's, any comments on that when you looked into Ms. Nair's point, the DUR?
Yeah, we looked while I was there, could not find anything. Then they opened a ticket with their IT department, who also investigated it, could not find anything. The only time an actual manual DUR entry is required in their system is if it's blocked by a third party through an insurance company. And then those print out the next day and they sign them. And there was none that was blocked by the insurance company. So there was no paper copy of a DUR as well. They provided a screenshot of what the DUR would have looked like if it had occurred, but they could not find any evidence that one actually popped up.
Okay.
And in their particular system, they told me that the DUR pops up for the technician at data entry. And then again, for pharmacist verification, their SOP, however, only shows that it pops up at data entry, and that the pharmacist has to go over there and approve it. But it doesn't require any sign off or initials or barcode or anything at that point. It may require initials, I'm not sure, but there's no barcode required. The only time the pharmacist actually puts their identifying barcode in is at the very end of the verification process, and that's them attesting that they've done the complete review and all DURs have been reviewed. But their SOP states that the DUR pops up at data entry for the technician.
Did the data entry technician state that she ran it cash and that's why it didn't pop up? I think in her statement, technician Barkley stated the prescription was not run through the insurance, so a DUR was not generated, I guess.
Right, which doesn't make sense to me that a DUR would only
Yeah.
come from an insurance company.
And you couldn't replicate, you couldn't find any proof that the DUR did take place, right?
No.
I had on there a non-disciplinary advisory letter to the permit on visibility of the DUR because it is concerning. It's if that tool wasn't working, but it's kind of a stretch because I don't know that. But Ms. Richardson, you're saying that you looked at it, everybody looked at it, you can find it, so that's why I went that direction. And then the other one would be a 3 CE to the verifying pharmacist due within 90 days for not looking at it. And I guess it's not a law that you have to have that DUR, but the pharmacist does have to review the profile. And that's why I say the verifying pharmacist at that point.
Yeah, I almost want to include possibly in that letter that about the DUR being verified too. Not only that it did or didn't pop up, but also that it is verified by a pharmacist.
Okay, I agree with you. I'll amend my motion to include that.
Then I second your motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
You, hold on one second. If we can get some clarification, you said 3 hours of CE, but you weren't specific as to in what and whether it's disciplinary or not?
Non-disciplinary and error prevention to the verifying pharmacist.
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay. 20-0449, expired medication dispensed. when I read this, I did not think that, I think there was an error. I did not think it was malicious, and I do think that learning took place because of it. I think they corrected it afterwards. I have in my notes dismiss or a non-disciplinary letter of concern, but I don't think that any intention of it was to take place. But I'm opened up to communication there for the committee members.
So they ended up dispensing expired meds.
They did, and then they corrected it.
So my only concern is there could also be other expired meds that were dispensed from this pharmacy. So which led me to believe that, they don't have a strict system in terms of checking the expired meds on a monthly basis as they should be.
I think a letter.
That's just my
concern is
assumption.
appropriate.
Yeah.
I like that. Would it be to the PIC? I don't know if the pharmacist named is the PIC, but.
We have the permit named, and then we have the pharmacist. I don't know if it's the PIC, the verifying pharmacist. I don't think the PIC is named.
Okay. So would the letter of concern go to the permit holder or to the pharmacist?
I think it would go to the verifying pharmacist.
Okay,
Any
I'll
other?
make that motion if
Okay.
you have it, unless you were.
Nope, I'll second that. Any other discussion before vote? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 4 aye. Employee from prescriber's office filed a complaint that the pharmacist had been filling a controlled substance prescription early. In my notes with the amount of early refills and what is outlined, I have this as a conference.
Yeah. I feel like he was trying to do the right thing as far as accommodating someone who's out of town, but I don't understand why the physician wasn't consulted maybe to see if they would be willing to do 3 months at a time or something.
Yeah, is the pattern is what got me. If you look at the very bottom there, it says
Yeah.
6 days early, 10 days early, 20 days early, 6 days, 13 days, 14 days,
Right.
8 days, 13, 14. There's not a pattern of learning there. It's repeated. And I think we need to understand why.
Yeah, and if the person's in town that often, why are we doing it early? So yeah, I think a conference would be appropriate.
I'll make that my motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 20-0459. Pharmacy's liability insurance carrier filed notice with the board of a claim paid to a patient as a result of an alleged error. And it's kind of confusing in learning that. And the question I have for Ms. Richardson is, what was Donovan's part in this? Or was it just because he was the RPH of record? Do we really know, besides him not updating his profile, did he do anything wrong in this scenario? Or was he the one of record when it got sold?
He was the actual verifying pharmacist, and the way their process works there is the verifying pharmacist is responsible for taking all of the leaflets and the order and putting it together to be bagged in one tote for the technician to then bag it up. So in that sense, yes, he was the pharmacist responsible for putting that complete order together where another patient's prescription was put in there.
Okay. And we have not been able to contact this individual at all.
No, and there's a separate complaint open regarding that has more information about that.
How do we know that when it was sold, the technician didn't sell an additional medication with the one that was bagged correctly?
It was actually in the bag. It was all in one bag. They
Okay,
were able to verify that.
so we're with confidence saying that Donovan was the one who bagged that. We don't know if he sold it.
He didn't physically sell it. They're kind of in the back, and then the register is out front, separate from the pharmacy. So they put it in a tote with all of the paperwork, and then a technician puts it in a bag.
A receptionist, it says. I think.
Well, the technician in the back puts it in the bag, and then the receptionist up front or cashier is the one who sells it.
So on page 280, one thing that really stood out to me is they say their process is, it's at the bottom of page 280, that they have the patient look through the pickup bag to make sure all the medications are as expected. That seems like a possible HIPAA violation, especially given the fact that this has more than one person's medications incorrectly in the same bag. I think that would be the staff's job to look through the bag to make sure that all the medications are correct, not put it on the patient.
I don't know if we could make a stretch and say it was a HIPAA violation if it was done correctly. It was a violation if it was done incorrectly, but if they're asking them to verify what they're picking up, and it's for them, I don't see that as being a violation. In this case, there was, because they sold the wrong information. But it's not alarming to me that they say, is this what you intended to pick up today? If it's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I just felt to me like you verify it first and then talk to them about it. It felt like they were doing the opposite. You verify it and then we'll ring you up. And that could be a possible, that would prevent a HIPAA violation if they look through it first. And was the pharmacist let go because of this incident?
No, he works for a temporary staffing agency. So he was, would just work there occasionally.
And he was a temp agency, right?
Yes.
So really, we should have the technician who sold it on here as well. If it was a technician, we don't know.
It wasn't. It was a
She's the
cashier. She's
cashier.
not licensed.
Okay. Okay.
And there's a question of them not updating their information.
I think that's the next complaint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So on this one, I think we should do 3 hours of non-disciplinary CE due within 90 days.
In
on
error
error
prevention.
prevention.
That's what I have too. I second that.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And just for clarification, on all these where you're doing the non-disciplinary CE, that is in addition to their
Yes.
normal? Okay.
Yep, our standard approach. Yes, thank you, Seth. Okay. 20-0515. While investigating the complaint, compliance officer was unable to reach a pharmacist. Pharmacist employment information has not been updated with the board since 1997, and phone and email information is invalid. So Ms. Richardson, there's a long list of what you guys did here. Can you just kind of give us an overview of how we tried to contact the pharmacist?
Sure. So initially in November, I attempted to contact him through email, through the email address that was on his profile, and that came back rejected as an invalid email. So I tried calling him on the phone number on his profile, and that phone number was disconnected. Eventually, we looked on the NABP profile and found a different email address, attempted that one, and just did not get a response back. It didn't reject, just no response. So I don't know if that was a valid email or not. I did contact the staffing agency that he works for, or had worked for at the time of the incident. And I got a third email that was different from either of those two. Again, didn't get a rejection, just didn't get a response. So again, I don't know if that was a valid one or not. We then opened this complaint for not being able to reach him. We sent this complaint to the mailing address that's on file, asked for a fax or email response to the complaint, which was not received. I obtained a different phone number for him from his NAB profile, and that matched a phone number that the supervisor at the staffing agency had on file for him. So I called, I asked for the person named in the complaint, and he said, "I'm sorry," and hung up. Then I called back a second time, and it just went straight to voicemail. I left a voicemail identifying myself, and I never received a call back. And to this date, we haven't received a response to the complaint either.
So we don't even know if the individual is working, stopped working at pharmacy, retired from pharmacy. We don't know anything.
Yeah, his license is active. He renewed it in 2019. It's good until 2021. When I talked to the staffing agency, he knew him very well. I guess he worked for him quite often. The last time he spoke with him was about a year ago. When COVID hit, he decided not to work as much. He was declining shifts at that point.
He was working up to a year ago.
Yes. December of 2019.
And his license expires when? I know you said that, but I can't remember.
10/31 of 21.
Okay.
So this year.
So on a side note, board staff, are we able to flag this license if renewed?
Yeah, so we have done that already. It is
Okay, thank
flagged.
you. Okay. So having said that, this has wasted a lot of time and resources from somebody not following the rules. I would say a $250 fine. And if not paid in 90 days, we move to hearing. I know that's kind of extreme, but this is the literal reason why you have to update your information with the Board of Pharmacy in case we need to reach you, both good and bad.
I agree. I second that.
And would that also be, if not signed, proceed to hearing?
That's what I said, yes.
I think you said if not paid, but actually it'd end up being both.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Sharon, can I ask just one real quick question? When you called him, did the voicemail say, "This is so-and-so, thanks for calling, leave a message," or was it you've dialed 609-519?
Yeah, the second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I didn't hear Kevin on that. Is it just me? Okay. 20-0470.
President Labor, before you proceed, if I just need to clarify, I have a clarifying question on 4J, that previous case.
Okay.
The 3 hours of CE, is that for the pick or for the pharmacist or for both? For the verifying?
That is for the pharmacist who bagged the medication, which is, we think, Donovan.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And then now moving on to 4L 20-0470. Unprofessional conduct, a permit holder pleaded guilty to unlawful distribution of unapproved new drugs, which is a misdemeanor, and one of its owners pleaded guilty to unlawful distribution of prescription drugs, which was a felony. Several states disciplined the permit holder, and a change of ownership application was received for the pharmacy.
I would say conference probably, so we get a better feel of what's going on.
I would
Yeah.
say they do mention that the former CEO is no longer with the pharmacy, but I think I'm with you, Ms. Nair, just kind of verifying that and then going from there.
Yeah, I would say some of the staff members probably still remain. So yeah, we just kind of get a feel. But so my recommendation is a conference.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 4M 20-0513, licensee failed to report a charge within 10 working days.
$250
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have a motion. I have a second by Mr. Dang.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
And if not
And
signed, proceed
If
to
not
hearing.
signed. Yeah. So I was just about to say, if not signed, proceed to hearing. Yeah.
20-0446. While investigating an unrelated complaint at the pharmacy, board compliance officer discovered prescriptions written by owner practitioner being filled by the pharmacy in violation of ARS 32-1930.
So is this the same pharmacy that we had in a previous complaint today?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Was it, wait, hold on, let me see.
You
So
voted that one to
For
conference.
C. Yeah, okay.
I believe this needs to be discussed in front of the board as well. There's just too many discrepancies when I read it. They appear, then they're changed. The technician's told to pull them and change them. I think they need to explain what's going on.
Okay, so we already have them coming for a conference, so just
So I'll make that my motion at conference.
second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. 4O 20-0440. Technician verified and sold prescription before the pharmacist performed the final verification check.
And it sounds like it's a normal occurrence.
I don't know if it's normal, but it's an occurrence.
Yeah. From what I read, it sounds like that's just something that we can do, or we do.
The next complaint is with the pharmacist on the same incident.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's online or not. I know he requested to call in.
Yeah, I'm online. My name's Brian Swanson. I'm online.
Thank you.
But no, it's not a normal occurrence. I know from how everything's coming out, it's sounding like this is a normal occurrence, but it's definitely not a normal occurrence.
And Mr. What's your last name? I'm sorry. Is it Swanson?
Swanson. Yeah, sorry, my thing didn't.
It's okay. Mr. Swanson, you are acknowledging that it did take place, though?
This incident has taken place. This did take place, yes. But it's not a normal occurrence. It's not something that's done every day. And, but yeah, no, it's not a normal occurrence. Absolutely not.
And Mr. Peterson, when I looked through the case, it did look like it had happened more than once. Is that correct?
Well, I got a statement from the technician, Stephanie McFarland. She's given me 3 different statements now. First time she said it was a common occurrence, or first time she said she did it. The second time she said it was a common occurrence. And the third time she said she actually had approval on that one, which the third statement's not in the file because I didn't receive it until a week ago. So I don't know. She changed her story 3 times on her 3 different statements. Brian says it happened this one time and I can't confirm any other ones. So I don't know, to be honest with you.
So Mr. Peterson, you mentioned that she got the approval from someone else.
No, on her last statement she sent me that came in after this report was finished. What she says is, my amended statement was made after some reflection regarding the situation. I was simply trying to state that verification, in this case, tapping the enter button to make the prescription ready, was done only after the pharmacist has seen the finished product and given approval. This wasn't done in an attempt to perform the pharmacist's duties or out of defiance and not on a regular basis. I believe Brian says he did not verify the prescription. So that statement's not true. But that was her final statement.
Yeah.
And there was a video showing the prescription on the counter, and it never shows that the prescription went away and Brian checked it and it came back and she tapped the verification.
There's conflicting information too on the company permit holder's report as well, leading me to believe that it happened multiple prescriptions in the past. I think we need to do due diligence here and have a conference with the permit holder, pharmacist, and the tech.
Yes, second.
And in this case, the recommendation would be conference for Stephanie McFarland and the permit holder.
And that's going to take care of O and P. or
I
O.
don't think Seth and Jean want to treat them separately because this one names the permit and the technician.
You can make one motion and include both cases.
Okay, and include 20-0441 for conference, permit and pharmacist involved. So I have a motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. 20-0502, permit holder notified board staff of a loss of a controlled substance due to theft by a pharmacy clerk. There were so many red flags, team, when I read this one that I just thought that we need to hear from them. I don't understand why so many things were overlooked, and I think that I would feel better hearing from them as well. But that's my preliminary. And Ms. Richardson, if you feel that's extreme, I'd appreciate your factual opinion on that. But looking at it, there was just several things that could have been taken care of before, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern that I was trying to convey in the report, was the fact that it was disclosed to the store manager, who's also a technician, that this person had an addiction or was abusing Adderall, and yet he was still being scheduled in the pharmacy and the PIC hadn't been informed of that.
Committee members, any discussion? If no, I'd make it my recommendation to proceed to a conference for respondents named in 20-0502.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I didn't. Any opposed? I'm not hearing everybody. I think it might be my computer. If you guys heard, then I didn't hear Ruben and I didn't hear Mr. Dang. Okay. Mr. Dang, what was your vote?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. R 20-0491. Patient's husband filed a complaint alleging the pharmacy mailed his wife's prescription to the incorrect address. This is the second complaint filed by the complainant. A complaint was filed in April 2020 for the same issue occurring on a different prescription order.
So the address that was shipped to was an address that had been previous. It was their address, but they just weren't at that address. I personally was thinking between dismiss and CE. It sounds like they move around quite a bit, and they've also assigned someone to take care of them personally.
I'd make a motion to dismiss.
I didn't know what CE would do in this case because it's not really a drug issue. It's an address issue. And if anything, it's a customer service issue. So,
I was just thinking about not checking the notes as per, it could be another type of note, but yeah, that was what my first concern was. But yeah, I was going back and forth between dismiss and CE.
I think I'm with Ruben on this one. Ruben, did you say that was a motion?
Motion to dismiss.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. 20-0391. The complaint stated that the pharmacist regularly makes it difficult for him to receive his prescriptions, and specifically on one occasion, the pharmacy would not fill the prescription on the prearranged date, and on another occasion, the pharmacy shorted him 30 tablets.
My recommendation on this is to dismiss.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4T 20-0498. Patient's husband filed a complaint on her behalf alleging that the pharmacy incorrectly filled prescription Tagrisso 40 milligrams with 80 milligrams when the error was brought to the attention of the pharmacy. They were not given the opportunity to speak directly with a pharmacist, but were told by the representative, the pharmacist said, to cut the tablets in half.
I was thinking of a conference.
You know why too? Mine was not as much. It sounds like the directions from the prescriber were to cut it in half, but I'm not 100% sure. But the job code description is what concerned me with the permit holder, with who's asking questions. Ms. Richardson's, did you have a similar experience with that? Wondering if we had a qualified person in a job code performing duties of a technician?
Yes, and this actually has come up
Yes.
on a different complaint with them before, where I think it was a complaint that was dismissed last time around, but it was the same type of thing. They have a job code called a pharmacy care coordinator. And if you read that job description, not only is it require a licensed technician for a lot of it, but a lot of what they include in that job description would apply to a pharmacist, not even a technician.
Yeah. My recommendation is conference.
Okay, so I have a motion and I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 20-0456, failure to report controlled substance losses on Form 106 within 10 days. And my question for board staff is, do we have the initial 7-1 notification? Because to me, that would be a game changer.
I couldn't find one, but to be honest, I don't think it is, because all they do, you can see a copy of what on page 811, what they would have sent us, and it is not a 106. And that's the 106 requirement within so many days is stipulated in R423 1003 A2. So, and this is part of the problem. We get these little letters that come in initially, and they state we're initial notification of a law, and then we don't get the 106 for many more months, and we don't have all the information we need to chase down the potential perpetrator. I asked the permit holder, what was the reason for the delay in submitting the 106? And their response was they wanted to conduct an additional investigation. Eventually I obtained an investigation, and it didn't indicate anything additional to report from what they would have known on June the 30th when they interviewed the employee that was involved with the diversion.
So here's where I struggle. Does the 106, no matter what, count as the notification? And I don't think that there is a timeline on when a 106 has to be filled if a 24-hour notice is given. And that's what I need to just have confirmed with board staff or legal counsel. So again, does a 24-hour notice initial notification meet the requirements that we have pending a 106? And I think it does, but I'm not 100% sure. Because you can notify, and I understand what you're saying, Steve, in this case, because they didn't, it looks like they appeared they knew. But if you do notify within the required time and then follow up once you know what is totally missing and what has been investigated with the 106, I think that is legal as well. But I would need to know, do we have the 7-1 notification, and is that following our rules and regulations?
I could not locate the 7-1 notice on our end. That doesn't mean they didn't send it, Mr. President.
But why reference something and not show it? Like, if you know it was sent on a certain date, why can't you produce some kind of reference, like recreate it, or, show what you sent?
We could ask for it. Does Cam, do you agree with my logic on that? And legal counsel, that a 24-hour initial notice would fulfill legal requirements pending the 106 once complete?
This is Jean. I believe it would, if you had, proof that it would. They say that they did. It said why, or there's the initial notification, the reason for it that they believe due to employee theft, and by who.
Okay, I think having said that, I'd make a motion to request the 7-1 notification as proof. And once that's received, dismiss it.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Do you want to refer to the full board? That way, hopefully you can get the information before then, and then the board can take action to dismiss at that time, if you get the verification.
That'd be fine with me.
Because your recommendation right now is to obtain that or dismiss. That would just be a recommendation to the board. The board would have to dismiss anyway. So if you just do table to the full board, hopefully you get the information before then. You can get an update at the board meeting and then dismiss if you feel it's appropriate.
Yep, I see what you're saying. I agree with you. So table to the full board and request the 7-1 notification from the permit holder.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 4V 20-0505, unprofessional conduct, drug screen failure.
Mr. President, I have a question for Ms. Galvin regarding this case.
Me too.
Ms. Galvin, I am a Dignity Health employee, but I don't work at St. Joseph, nor do I know anyone who worked there. Should I recuse from this case or continue on?
And obviously that is a decision that is up to you. If you're following sort of the pattern that other board members have followed, Mr. Labor recuses from all Safeway Albertsons, Ms. Walmsley recuses from all Walgreens, even though they're not specifically affiliated with those particular stores that may be in front of you.
Okay, then I would like to recuse from this case then.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So I have a question. I don't know that we need to go into getting legal advice, but it is a legal question. So for Jean or Seth, how does this new law affect Proposition 207, I believe? How does that affect this case, or was it before the law was in effect, so it does not affect the case?
I'm pulling it up. It did occur before the new law was in effect.
Okay.
I'm going back to the lab. Because it says, it shows that it was positive, but I don't know if we have, they've come up with a value that would determine whether someone is under the influence of marijuana. But like I said, this is before the change in the law. And I think it's going to be up to the board to decide how to handle these cases. Steph, I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, not really. It was before the law went into effect, but his explanation seems to be it was on a trip prior. So I don't know. I'm not really
So-
clear what the percentage or what the levels were.
The technician should have reported it to us? Is that what we're saying?
No.
I don't know that they have a obligation to report to you if they've
It wasn't done while they were working. It's just the fact that they had tested positive.
This one's hard because even
Yeah.
if we said, okay, so you did it before the law was written and say it was an accident, like the individual describes, what would we do now? So what would we say, drug test within 48 hours by hair, then dismiss if clear? Now it is legal. He could have, or she could have that
Right.
present in the hair. So to me, I'm leaning on dismissing this.
That's what I assumed as well.
Is that a motion?
Any other discussion?
Yeah, it wasn't during work. It was at a pre-employment.
Yeah.
I just say dismiss as well.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. For W 21-0017, respondents contract with Papa was terminated.
Cam, has she signed the voluntary surrender?
I was in talks with her.
Yes.
Looks like
Yes,
she did. Okay.
yes. It's on the agenda, yes.
So, Mr. President, you can basically accept the signed consent as a motion.
That's my motion to accept this signed consent for surrender.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Mr. Leba, can we go back to 4U?
yes.
This is the discussion of whether the 7-1 notice would satisfy the rule. And Cam has pointed out to R423-1003 that talks about a loss of controlled substance shall be reported within 10 days on a DEA Form 106 by the PIC or by the permittee or designated rep and to the DA or DEA. So it looks like the notification has to occur not only within 10 days, but on a DEA Form 106. So I don't think that the 7-1 notification alone without the 106 is sufficient.
What is the purpose of the 24-hour then? Is it to,
And Cam, where is the 24-hour?
it might be a DEA requirement, Ms. Galvin.
The 1 business day requirement for the DEA to report loss upon discovery. That's a federal law.
So that's federal. All right. So our requirement is the 10 days with the 106, on a 106.
Okay, I would like to withdraw and make a new motion. Is that the verbiage you need, Ms. Galvin? And then-
Yes.
And then the
And I'll
second,
withdraw my second.
okay,
Okay.
and then I would move for a full board review or conference committee.
Thanks, Cam. Thank you, Katie.
Conference, is that what you're saying?
I'm okay with the conference. If we go in front of a full board review, there might be more discussion, or it might literally go back to conference again. So I just wanted your opinions.
I think full board review might be beneficial.
Okay. I'll make a motion for table for full board review.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Consent agenda 5, refer to formal administrative hearing. Pharmacy notified the board an employee was terminated for possible unprofessional conduct. In addition, the licensee failed to respond to the board subpoena.
Is this beyond our,
President, yeah, that's beyond our agenda. Our agenda, posted agenda, it's number 5 is future meeting, which is next February 3rd and 4th of next week.
Okay.
And that's the end of today's agenda.
I got nervous for a minute. I'm like,
Any other, anything else, team, I need to go back to before we adjourn?
No, not on this agenda, Mr. President.
Okay. And I don't have the agenda in front of me. Did we put a call to the public?
There is no call to the public on this agenda.
Okay. Having said that, we will see everybody next week for the board meeting, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Aye, guys.